has detained a Russian citizen accused of planning to kill a Ukrainian-American citizen in Warsaw on Moscow's orders.
Romania is on alert after fresh drones have washed up at a tourist hotspot in the Black Sea. Europe swelters under a fresh heat wave, putting strain on hospitals, water supplies and the economy.
Poland has detained a Russian citizen accused of planning to kill a Ukrainian-American citizen in Warsaw on Moscow's orders. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said the suspect had been arrested last Friday by agents of the Polish Internal Security Agency as well as the police.
Przyjąć to założenie, że reżim Putina będzie starał się likwidować ludzi niewygodnych z różnych powodów w różnych miejscach na świecie i dlatego nasze działania będą niezwykle intensywne w tej sprawie, tak aby zapobiec ewentualnym kolejnym próbom wymierzonym w obywateli Polski czy innych krajów.
Poland has accused Moscow of acts of sabotage on several occasions since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Moscow has, however, always denied any involvement in such attacks.
Romania is on edge after more military drones have been found on its shores in the Black Sea. A popular tourist beach was forced to evacuate after the devices were noticed by nearby employees in the early hours of Thursday. This comes just a few days after Romanian army drivers destroyed 2 drones drifting near a gas project on Tuesday.
Alerts began shortly after midnight in Tulcea when security systems detected several drones approaching Romanian national airspace. Residents received raw alert messages and several hours later a large fragment of what appears to be a drone was discovered into the sea in Constanța, close to Costinești Beach. It's a storm here and it's possible that the storm brought the fragment there. The area was immediately secured and tourists were evacuated from the beach as authorities began their investigation. We are therefore seeing an increasing number of incidents involving drones entering Romanian's airspace, while fragments and some cases entire naval or aerial drones are reaching areas close to the Romanian coastline. The situation is particularly sensitive now because it's the summer season and a lot of tourists are staying in the seaside resorts. Diana Sobaru, Euronews, Romania.
A Russian drone strike on a passenger train in Ukraine's Odessa region on Thursday killed 2 people. The victims of the attack were 2 crew members, the driver and an assistant. None of the passengers were harmed. In a post on X, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said hundreds of people were on board the train, accusing Russia of targeting the locomotive, which it would have known was carrying only civilians. It is not the first time Russia has targeted a passenger train, as Moscow ramped up its attacks on Ukraine's civilian and critical infrastructure in recent months. A recent report by the United Nations revealed civilian deaths in Ukraine reached a record high in July, the monthly highest since May 2022. The report found at least 437 civilians were killed that month, a 30% increase compared to June and a 70% increase compared to July the year before. Ukraine, on its end, has also ramped up its campaign against Russia's critical and military infrastructure in recent months. Ukrainian media reported that on Thursday a fire broke out at a major oil refinery in Russia's Bashkortostan, as well as a wild berries warehouse nearby.
Large parts of Western Europe are sweltering once again this Thursday as another heat wave grips France and Britain. France has 80 of its 101 departments under orange alert, with temperatures there expected to peak between 38 and 40 degrees. More than 40,000 people are already dealing with water cut-offs as officials call drinking water access their top priority. The government says this summer's heat waves could cost the country up to €15 billion. Across the channel, forecasters say temperatures could hit 38 degrees Celsius in central and southeast England, just shy of the August record set back in 2003. It's the fifth heat wave to hit the UK this summer, and the heat is taking its toll. The Royal College of Nursing says staff have collapsed from heat exhaustion in hospitals that simply aren't built for these temperatures. Most of the country is now in drought, piling pressure onto water supplies. Scientists say human-caused climate change is driving these increasingly frequent and intense heat waves across the continent.
Standing 8 hours per day in an archaeological site with no shade, or leading a city tour by 30 degrees in the midst of the touristic season, and while Europe is facing record-breaking temperatures, several tourist guides warned they're on the front line during heat waves, and they faced the consequences. Last summer, a 56-year-old guide died after collapsing while leading a visit of the Colosseum in Rome in scorching heat.
Cet après-midi, je vous en parle même pas. On a été à Pérouge, qui est une petite ville médiévale là, qui est au nord-est de Lyon, et il fait plus de 40 degrés au soleil, enfin, c'est assez compliqué.
The French guide says while self-employed tourist guides may ask their customers to cancel or postpone the visit because of the heat, it is often not an option for guides working for intermediaries, since the visits are sometimes booked well in advance.
La plupart du temps, on travaille pour une agence, un tour opérateur, un croisiériste, enfin, ça peut être très varié, comme je disais avant. Et là, c'est eux qui choisissent, très clairement, et la plupart du temps, c'est pas annulé. Mais ça arrive.
Instead of cancelling a visit, some of his colleagues have, for instance, asked their employers to turn a bike tour into a bus tour, or to replace a walking tour of the city by a visit of an air-conditioned museum. Gabriel says these changes are also in the interest of the visitors, as most of his customers are above 60 years old and some do not support the heat. Meanwhile, while the UK is set to face its hottest summer on record, the head of training for the European Federation of Tourist Guide Associations says sites should extend their opening hours to allow early and late visits during the coolest part of the day.
In Greece, a lot of museums and open-air sites open very early in the morning, and they remain open until 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. So people can visit at times which are more comfortable rather than in the midday sun.
Themis also encourages museums and sites to build covers for groups to wait in the shade while queuing to enter or when stopping for explanations. Other solutions include distributing water bottles, increasing the number of public water fountains, and installing misters to cool visitors down. While heat waves are set to become more intense and more frequent due to climate change, visitors could also favor a trip in May or September rather than at the height of summer.
At least one person was killed and several others injured following an explosion at the Dutch port of Rotterdam on Thursday. The explosion happened at a refinery and fuel terminal where local media said a maintenance team had been working on a section of pipes there. Emergency services reported a power failure at the port and said that a transformer had caught fire under unexplained circumstances.
Heeft hier rond 11:30 een explosie plaatsgevonden bij een petroleumbedrijf. Hierbij zijn helaas meerdere gewonden gevallen en is er ook 1 persoon overleden. Onze steun gaat uiteraard uit naar alle nabestaanden. Op dit moment houden we rekening met alle scenario's en doen we onderzoek hoe de explosie heeft kunnen gebeuren.
Several companies had paused their operations and evacuated workers. However, power was gradually being restored to companies in parts of the port a few hours later.
Looks like the whole neighborhood's lost power.
What the hell is that?
We can't leave.
I think that our neighborhood, our house, our whole street has moved.
How the hell is that even possible?
That's what I loved about the script when I first read it, was the family story, and that it was I didn't know exactly where the story was going to go, but once I realized that it was a crazy dinosaur survival movie, I was still really impressed that David was writing about this couple and about their relationship and how through whatever's happening in their life, they're unable to talk to each other properly, express themselves properly, and through fighting for the actual survival of their family, they find each other again. I loved that. It was very well written.
What the hell's going on? Get inside now!
It was a mixture of a lot of different types of movie magic. So I had been told when I signed on that they were going to make every effort to do this practically, and it was going to be animatronics and puppetry. That didn't happen. So, but we did get really kind and wonderful stuntmen in leotards holding long poles that had dino heads on them, sort of prancing across a suburban street. And the thing that was so amazing was when you saw them and the scene wasn't happening, it looked so funny. And then the second David said action and you were there in the mindset of the character, they were the most terrifying things you'd ever seen. They were like just creepy and strange.
Gather supplies. Grab anything you can use as a weapon. What are we gonna do?
We're gonna survive.